Hey, what's going on? Today I'm here to predict who will win the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. And before you say anything, you already made a video about this. No, that was my playoff predictions. Today I want to just predict the final race and who's going to win the championship. We know the four drivers. Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski are the four drivers in the championship four. So I'm going to predict who's going to win the championship. First, I would like to talk about my four original picks. If you haven't seen that video, it was the predict my NASCAR Cup Series playoff predictions for 2020. I'll link that down below. My four drivers I predicted were Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, and Martin Truex Jr. So I got 2 for 4, which isn't bad. I'm happy with 2 out of 4 predictions right. Well, it should have been more. In all honesty, we all know it should have been more than 2 right. I mean, come on. If I would have guessed, if someone would have told me that I was only going to get 2 of my playoff predictions right out of those 4 drivers, my guess would have been I would have got Hamlin and Harvick right. Because looking at my playoffs, I thought, man, these 2 are locks. There is no way these 2 aren't going to Phoenix. And what do you know? Somehow, Kevin Harvick with 9 wins is not going to Phoenix. I don't even know how to explain that. I mean, with this format, it's supposed to be a lock. If you get so many wins and playoff points in the regular season, it builds up so much in that final round to where it almost feels like a lock going into Phoenix. So yeah, somehow Kevin Harvick's not in the championship 4, and it's really because he had a bad couple of races in this round, which can happen. I mean, that's what these playoffs are made for, but I don't think anyone expected it because Harvick came into this race 42 above. No one expected him to not make the championship 4. I guarantee you there wasn't a single person who didn't have Harvick in their final 4. If you didn't, then I guess you're a genius. I don't know why you would think that, but it obviously happened. The other guy who I predicted who didn't make it was Martin Truex Jr. He didn't make it because he put himself in a must-win situation going into Martinsville, which when I was making my predictions, I pretty much figured Truex would most likely have to win a race to make it to the final 4. That I predicted him to win Kansas, which didn't happen. So pretty much, I got the winning Kansas rate from a driver below the cutoff line. Just I predicted the wrong driver. If I put Logano in there, I mean, it's pretty much Logano and Truex switched around, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, I just picked the wrong driver. I thought Truex was going to win Kansas. He didn't. He had a great car in Martinsville, but Chase Elliott had the car to beat. I think that's pretty obvious. I did pick Chase Elliott to win Martinsville, so I'm kind of proud about that. Yeah, so I got Harvick and Truex wrong in my final 4, and I put them in there instead of the Penske cars. So, I mean, who can blame me? Maybe on Truex, you can say, oh, he wasn't going to win, but I feel like a decent amount of people thought he was going to make it. And then for Harvick, you cannot blame me on that. Every single person had Harvick in their final 4. To right now, a day after this race happened, I still have no idea how he's not in the championship 4, but he's not. So, move on for that. So anyways, now it is time to analyze the 4 drivers who made it into the championship 4. And let's start with the first person to get there. That was Joey Logano after winning at Kansas. So for Joey Logano, historically, the guy who has won the first race out of the first 3 races or whatever in the round of 8 has gone on to win the championship several times. Just off the top of my head, Logano did it in 2018. 2016, I know Jimmy Johnson did it. It doesn't happen all the time, but I feel like there's several cases where that guy has gone on to win. And the main reason I can think of is because they have 2 extra weeks to prepare. I mean, yeah, they're going to put a car together for the final 2 races of the round of 8, but they're really focusing on that final car. And, Logano's just going to have that upper advantage. Not only that, Logano won Phoenix earlier this year. I feel like there is a strong case to make for Joey Logano to become a 2-time champion. Do I think he's going to win? I honestly don't know. I'll save who I think is going to win for the end of this, but Logano's got a case. He really does. He won Phoenix earlier this year. He won the first race in the round of 8. And, I'm pretty sure those Penske cars are going to be pretty quick at Phoenix. The next guy is going to be the other guy who won his way into the round of 8. That is Chase Elliott. So for Chase Elliott, he's got 4 wins on the season now. He pretty much hit a walk-off home run pretty much at Martinsville. You now add his name to the drivers who've won a race when they needed it. So that's good for Chase Elliott. He needed those moments. Honestly, in the last several laps of the race, I'm just waiting for a caution to come out to somehow screw over Chase Elliott because it happens every time. But he actually got probably the biggest win of his career, as he said for himself. He's got an opportunity to go for the championship, and I wouldn't count him out. I think going into these last 4 races, I would classify Chase Elliott as the underdog. I look at the other three drivers. They've all been here several times. They've all won a championship besides Hamlin because he chokes a lot. But, you know, Chase Elliott, this is his first time going to the championship 4 appearance. I mean, don't count him out. Like I said, he has run good at Phoenix in the past. I believe 2017 it was. He almost won that Phoenix race to get himself into the championship 4. He didn't end up winning. He got eliminated. I remember because Kenseth passed him. I was kind of upset about that because I wanted him to get in. But he didn't win that race. That was at Phoenix, yeah. So he's had success here in the past. I would call him the underdog, but I wouldn't count him out. I would not count him out. The next guy would be the next highest in points, which I think Hamlin ended up getting in by 9 points. It would have only been 1 had Harvick not wrecked, but on that final lap. But Hamlin will be the next guy. Obviously, I don't think anyone was shocked to see Hamlin in the Final Four because we all thought him and Harvick were going to get there, and obviously Harvick didn't make it there. But, I mean, Hamlin's had a really good season. Statistically, out of these Final Four drivers, Hamlin has had the best season out of all of them. Most wins, really consistent. Just, as for, does he have a good shot to win the championship? Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? I think a lot of people will go in this thinking Denny Hamlin is the championship favorite. I mean, there's no reason not to think so. He's the best driver left out of here. Not only that, he won Phoenix last year to get himself into the championship race last year. So, I mean, Denny Hamlin has got almost a better case than anyone if you really think about it. I mean, as for Denny Hamlin, 7 wins on the season obviously is not bad. I don't know if he comes in as a championship favorite. I know, as I said earlier, a lot of people would probably consider him as the championship favorite. I think it's pretty close between him and the Penske cars as who's the favorite. But I think with 7 wins, obviously, you have to take that seriously. Even if Harvick was here, I'd still consider them neck and neck. But, I mean, I don't know. He has a really good opportunity. And the final guy left, I have left to analyze, is Brad Keselowski. Keselowski has 4 wins on this year, and 2 of those wins have come with the car he will be running at Phoenix. And they weren't just wins. They were dominating wins. This is why I'm concerned for those other 3 cars. Brad Keselowski at New Hampshire and Richmond stomped the field with that car. It wasn't even close. And he's bringing that car to Phoenix. And I would expect it to possibly do the same thing, especially because, I mean, Phoenix and Richmond are pretty close on tracks. Same with New Hampshire. All 3 of those tracks are pretty similar to each other. So, yeah, I'd be worried for all those other drivers because I think my personal opinion is Keselowski could be the favorite going into this. All season long, I'd say Keselowski has probably been the 3rd best driver this year. He had the 3rd most wins until Chase Elliott got his 4th win. And when he won, he usually dominated, besides the first 2 wins. I mean, the Coca-Cola 600, got lucky. Bristol just passed 2 guys after they wrecked. I mean, Chase Elliott could have more wins than he has right now. But Keselowski, I mean, he's going for a 2nd championship. Only he and Logano have won a championship before. However, Brad Keselowski did not win that championship in this format. And I believe he's only been here 1 other time, and that was a couple years ago. And I believe he ran the worst out of all 4 of them. But that was at Homestead. I think you have to go into this race and just remember, Brad Keselowski has won 2 races with this car he's bringing, and he hasn't, and no one's been come close when he's driving this car. I'm scared for the rest of those other drivers. However, these 4 drivers are going to come with their best prepared car all season. There's no doubt in my mind that Keselowski's not going to dominate like he did those other 2 races. I think Keselowski has one of the better cars, but I mean, those other guys are going to come with even good cars too. I mean, Logano won this race earlier this year before the pandemic hit. So, I mean, you just don't know out of these 4 who's going to win. But I am going to predict who's going to win. Going back to my prediction video of the NASCAR Cup Series playoff predictions, I predicted Harvick was going to win the championship. If he was here, I would stick with that prediction. I don't think there's anything in my mind that would have changed it. However, he's not here in the Final Four, meaning I have to change my playoff prediction. So, I know a lot of people haven't seen this, but the first video on this channel was I was predicting multiple sports leagues champions, and the driver I predict there who to win this championship was Denny Hamlin. And that Final Four, I believe, consisted of Hamlin, Elliott, Logano, and Kyle Busch. I think that's who I predicted the Final Four to be like way back in May or something. Or April. I don't even remember when it was. It was way back then. It was like right after NASCAR started back up. So I knew Logano had 2 wins. That's why I put him in there. And Harvick hadn't started his dominance yet. In that video, I predicted Denny Hamlin was going to win the championship. And I could stick with that. And honestly, I really don't know if I want to stick with that. I honestly hadn't, when I started recording this, I hadn't made up my mind of who I was predicting. I was just going to talk myself through it and see who I wanted to predict. But I think after talking myself through it, I think I'm going to predict Denny Hamlin is going to win the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series Championship out of these 4 drivers. At the end of the day, I still think the rightful champion is probably Kevin Harvick. And you can look at it multiple different ways. If you go to the 36 race format, no playoffs, nothing, Harvick would have locked up the championship by starting Martinsville. It didn't even matter where he finished at Martinsville or at Phoenix. He would have locked it up. He had that big of a points advantage. I mean, it's all for naught. And then if I look at the 10-race playoff format, I believe Harvick, I think this would not count stage points or anything like that. If you count stage points, then I don't know the points. But I've been adding it up for without stage points, just how like the format was in 2013, basically. Harvick would have about an 8-10 point lead over Logano going into this final race, and it would be more if he didn't wreck. So arguably Harvick would have won that as well. So it's just, it leads the question, is this playoff format legitimate? And I honestly, I don't know. I don't think it crowns the rightful champion. However, if NASCAR were to go back to the 36 race schedule, I think a lot of people will lose interest. Because no one wants to see a driver lead the points the entire season just for it to, I mean, pretty much with Harvick, I would have, if we had the 36 race season, I would have known like way back when the season restarted up that he was going to win the championship. Sometime around there, when he started winning several races in a row, or in a certain amount of time, that's when I would have known, like, okay, Harvick's winning the championship, if we had a 36-race season. With this format, it allows there to be entertainment. Not only that, but there are playoff points, stage points, all that other stuff. So, like, Denny Hamlin winning the Daytona 500 mattered at Martinsville. It did. If he doesn't win the Daytona 500, he doesn't move on. Harvick doesn't make that desperation move over Kyle Busch, and he gets eliminated. If Hamlin doesn't win Talladega, and that controversial finish, he doesn't move on. So, like, these wins that happen way later on in the season do matter. And, you know, I guess, does every race matter? Winning, yes. I mean, Harvick doesn't have a chance to even move on points if he doesn't have 60-something playoff points going into this final round. So I think there is legitimacy. I think no one would have expected Kevin Harvick not to be in the Final Four. We all thought if he was going to lose the championship, it was going to be in the final race because all 4 guys, or just whoever finished the highest. I think a lot of people have a problem with that. I think this is really the first time since the 2017 that a guy with this much playoff points has gotten eliminated before the Final Four. So that's why a lot of people do have a problem with this playoff format. But, you know, I don't know. I personally don't have a problem with it. I think if NASCAR changes it over and over again, I think it just loses legitimacy. I mean, if NASCAR were to just change it and wipe it out again, it's just like, then that's not the rightful championship. In my opinion, I feel like NASCAR fans can never be pleased with whatever NASCAR does. So I just say leave it. I mean, I don't really know what else they can do at this point. It's much better than the 2014 through 2016 format. What they have now is much better than that, because it was so stupid how one driver, or how after 26 races, it pretty much gets reset to nothing starting in the round of 16. Well, they have some playoff points going in the round of 16, but after that, no playoff points. It all resets. That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. NASCAR as now is one of the best playoff formats they've probably came up with. Well, not one of the best, but it's not the worst, okay? It's not one of the best. It's not the worst playoff format they've had, though. It's better than the 36-race season. You're not going to get the most legitimate champion, but it is how it is. The NASCAR hands are tied. Anyways, I went on a rant there because it was a very hot topic after Harvick got eliminated yesterday. My my champion prediction is Denny Hamlin winning the championship. So yeah, there's only one race to figure out who actually wins it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I believe I have made, or uploaded the Truck Series, who I think is going to win, and Xfinity Series, who I think is going to win the days before this. I haven't recorded that yet. I recorded this first because I just wanted to make sure I had time to record this one. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all later. Peace.